Yeah, people get real, especially if they haven't done any bricks beforehand, like bike run workouts. They're like, I feel super bouncy. Like the legs are sometimes it's either like bouncy or it could be just completely dead because they went too hard on the bike and didn't conserve anything. It's like one of the two. Okay, running with bricks.
This guy all day long. So if you want a really funny first triathlon story, I've probably got the all-time winner. Um,
Go for it.
the so my right after I graduated, back in 2003. So I graduated in May. In May, June, somewhere June, July, I bought a road bike
Hmm.
that, did the standard, crank on some aero bars onto it that,
Hmm.
weigh 9 pounds. And, it's the, it's old specialized LA kind of thing. Um, Loved that bike just from sentimental value, but, um, rode it for like 2 months, and I had done zero swimming,
Hmm.
zero. And I'd heard about this quote unquote sprint triathlon. I'm
Hmm.
like, I'm a sprinter. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
I look online. It's like 600 and something meters worth of swimming. I'm used to running 600-meter repeats all the time. How bad can that be?
Yeah, 600 meter swim. That's pretty short. No big deal.
Yeah, 13 miles on the bike. Okay, that's like half an hour.
Hmm.
Great. And then a 5K. Cool. I can hammer out a 5K after these puny little things on the front end.
Yeah.
Man, let me tell you. So there's 386 people signed up for this race, right?
Hmm.
I finished 384th
Okay.
in, in the swim out of the water. Now, it was like 19 minutes 40 some seconds. The only two
Hmm.
people faster than in the water was like the 7-year-old girl and an 86-year-old woman. They're
Not where you're used to being.
not where I'm used to being. So there's a guy who turned, I can't remember if it was 100 or 101 that day, that was faster than me in the water.
Y- once you get it down, it's kind of like so there's one of my coaches is former Olympic triathlete Barbara Lindquist. She'll like she was an All-American swimmer at Stanford, and she
Okay.
was known for being out of the water first when she was racing professionally.
Yeah.
She'll not swim for an entire year, and then get in the pool and crank out like 10,000 meters at 110 pace or something. Like
Yeah.
no big deal.
Yeah.
What is
She's a
that?
fish.
Once you've got that swim down, it seems like it just stays.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So that's probably the
Um,
100-year-old guy.
yeah, I'm thinking. But I jump out of the water. I get on the bike, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go mow somebody down.
Yeah.
And I like, go mowing people down. I'm just like, bam, bam, bam. All right, this is what this is supposed to be like. All right, here we go. We're good.
Hmm.
Went way, 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 especially for not knowing what I was getting into. Went way too hard on the bike. Got off the bike feeling confident. Put my run shoes on, and I took that first quarter mile going, feeling pretty much like a baby giraffe.
Hmm.
And the I remember having the thought of whoever named this sprint triathlon knows nothing about sprinting, needs to be drug out in the street and making an example of.
It's just a relative term.
It's a relative term, and people don't tell you it's a relative term.
A real sprint would be like 100-meter swim, maybe a 3-mile bike, and then like a mile run or something. And even that's not even really a sprint.
Yeah, right. Like a true. Sprint is like, 600 meters or less.
Yeah.
And like, you can get into the debate whether the 800 meters now, the is a sprint or as a middle distance race, but we'll save that one for another day.
So you recovered from your baby giraffe legs.
Yeah, no, recovered from the baby giraffe legs, finished the thing up, and like I said, I came out of the water 384 of 386, and I think I finished like 150-ish,
Hmm.
you know.
A little
And
redemption.
little bit of redemption, but there was still the like wake up call of like, what on earth was that? And just being entirely overly competitive by nature, I was like, okay, we got to go back, we got to train and do this again
Uh-huh.
because we can't get whooped by, and like, and the mentality of a 23-year-old guy that's hopped up on testosterone and whey protein was, I can't be just out here getting whooped on by these 60 and 70-year-old men and women. Like, this is just not okay. Like, I'm in my prime. Like, this is just not okay.
This shouldn't be happening right now.
Right, right. That was major kick to the ego. Obviously since then there's the realization of like that distance events are like aerobic training is cumulative, right?
Hmm.
And the come to find out in ex phys class a few years later, the aerobic system is not fully developed until your mid 30s. Well, here we go.
Yeah.
uh, never mind learning to actually swim a little bit, change the game.
Oh yeah, his technique is so crucial. Like, and I take like my thoughts about swimming, which I it's kind of weird to think I've been swimming for a decade now. I'm still feel like I'm a beginner.
Oh
And
yeah.
but just like technique is so crucial in the swim. I take that back to like running. If I'm ever, I'm not an official coach anywhere, but like there are people that kind of come to me and I help them. But it's like technique is also important in the run. Like you
Oh,
can,
absolutely.
and it's important in the bike too. But it's like people come from their like a running background or cycling background and sometimes think they can just like muscle their way through a swim. You cannot, like you could muscle through maybe 50 meters,
That's
but
about it.
it's gonna be rough.
You can muscle your way through, like I said, and if you're really strong and really fit, you can muscle your way through about 100 meters worth, I'd say.
Yeah.
But that's it. Like, you don't get to the water fights back so hard that if you don't find a way to caress that water and be friendly with that water,
Hmm.
it's fight you back all day, every day.
Yeah, because we're not aquatic beings. We try, but we're so woefully slow compared to like anything that actually lives in the water. It's not even funny.
Oh, absolutely.
So like, how do you obviously, the competitive bug's gotten you with you're doing triathlon, but like, how do you kind of balance that with coaching? Because I know, I mean, any coach I know, and I think that's probably true for you, especially from kind of how effusive you've been about what you do. Like, how do you balance all that time with training and like, how do you make that priority when you've got kids that need your attention, but you're also like, I got a 5 hour bike ride I need to get in.
It's exceptionally hard. And I'll be fully, full disclosure, like when push comes to shove, my kids get my attention.
Hmm.
Like, that's my job, that's what I do. And like my athletic career is far past its prime,
Right.
right? Like, do I have a faster half iron? Do I have a faster marathon? Do I have a faster full Ironman in me? Absolutely, those are coming. But the idea of militaristic training and like really hammering to get every single, milliliter of VO2 cranked up in my system,
Hmm.
those days are long gone. For me, like the if it doesn't happen in the morning, 95% it's not going to happen.
Hmm.
Um, the balance, like the one balance that I found not this past year, but the year prior, was where the kids are in the weight room at 6 a.m. They're in there from 6 to 7. Then, as soon as they're done, I would take off and go run for like 45 minutes or an hour,
Hmm.
make some breakfast, catch a shower, get into the office and like, crank on office stuff until it was time to go to practice and then do that. Maybe twice a week, get into the pool after practice just because it was a low impact kind of thing.
Right.
Um, my training philosophy, for training my kids and, training myself also has always been quality over quantity.
Hmm.
So I may only have 45 minutes or an hour versus, being able to go out and spend those long hours to get stuff in.
Hmm.
Um, the long hours have been on Sunday. Like that's when it happens. Now, once the competition season comes around, that can get to be hit or miss. Um, just whether I've got the energy, like, if the bus gets back to campus at 1 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm sleeping till at least noon.
Yeah.
Like that's happening. Anybody that wants to argue about it, come find me. Um, but but that kind of gets to be into that Sunday routine of like, okay, brunch, longer workout, but don't crush yourself so that Monday comes along and you're just wasted.
Hmm.
Um, so the reality of it is that January through April is exceptionally difficult
Hmm.
to balancing it. And my fitness shows it,
Yeah,
like, I
and
mean,
that's tough since I mean, that's really, that's like, at least for me, for my training schedule, that's like prep, getting ready for race season. Then race season starts March, April, May, and
yep, yep, absolutely. And like, that's when you got to be putting those hours on the trainer, and that's when you got to be putting that time in the pool,
mm.
and it's hard. It's hard.
Well, so
Uh,
like, I mean, the bike is the biggest time consumer to me, especially
yep,
as you're going longer distances. It's a proportionally a larger piece of the pie, so it's
it
like
is.
you can't skip it, and
Nope.
it becomes tougher to maintain high fitness there, in my opinion.
And the thing about it is you can do so much with the higher intensity intervals, and you can do so much with the weight room, right?
Hmm.
If you're being smart about it, it can be done. And like, I really think that on 6 hours of training a week, you could do a full iron, no problem.
Okay.
Now, those 6 hours, you're going to be cranking.
Yeah.
Like when you get it, you're going to be getting after it like fat kid after cake. Um, you know, but which you gotta pay attention to what you're doing, and the paying attention to injuries and all that kind of stuff. But and this is me calling myself out on just not getting it done really. But it can be done on really really minimal hours.
So what is like if I wanted to like for you if I want to maximize bike fitness, but I don't have the time to get in bike work. What am I going to the weight room and doing?
Squats, front
Just
squats,
just squats.
front squats, front squats, front squats, front squats.
High
I'm a
rep, low
big
weight, high weight, low rep. What are we doing?
high weight, low reps
Okay.
because and contrary to popular belief and like, the low weight, high reps is going to build muscular volume, right?
Okay.
Nobody wants to cart any more of their own butt around the course than they have to,
Right.
right? So you want to be as light and you want to be as strong pound for pound as physically possible, right?
Mhm.
So, physiology lesson is that's more about neural recruitment than it is, cross-sectional area in the muscle.
Okay.
So you develop that neural recruitment by going high intensity, low reps. So you might hit 3 sets of three on the squat and be done.
Okay.
And realistically for triathlon training, you might hit like 5 sets of three, but have those sets of three spaced out with like 10 minutes in between each one of those three.
Okay.
Um, you know, that would be, bang for your buck. That's probably it in the weight room. I've always been a big fan of the Olympic lifts, like your snatches, your cleans, just because they're
Hmm.
total body lifts. Um,
I got obsessed with the clean in high school, and it was like a favorite lift. And I'm like, there's no like, I can't go to my gym and do it. They don't have a setup to do that at my gym.
yeah. Um, but yeah, no, bang for your buck. Like weight room, that would be it for the bike, and really for the run. Between that and lunges, that kind of be, like I said, if you're just looking for bang for your buck, that's you can go in there and hit that in 20 minutes and be done.
Hmm. It's always, it's kind of a. I fortunately have a little bit more flexibility in my schedule, but I know a lot of people don't. So I kind of think about, who, like average Joe working 40, 50, 60 hours a week, like how do they compete in the sport? So that's why I was curious, like,
Yep.
obviously you're spending a lot of time coaching. So like, what are you doing to, get that maximum right back out of what you're putting in?
Yeah. No, and like the other one that I'm a big, big fan of is like minute on, minute off on the trainer.
Okay.
I can get like if I get up before weight room time, so like if I'm on the bike by 5:15,
Hmm.
I can do a 15-minute warm up that gets me to 5:30. I can go minute on, minute off for 20 minutes. So I can
Yeah.
get 10
10 reps.
I can get 10 reps and my legs are jelloed because for that 1 minute I am absolutely cranking as many watts or as many miles per hour, just whatever your
You're
metric is.
right.
I'm getting it for that minute and then just soft pedal it for a minute and just turn it back and turn it back and turn it back.
Yeah.
You can do so much with just 10 reps like that.
Yeah. And if you're doing it right, you're done after 10. Like you're
Oh
not
yeah.
doing anymore.
No.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that. We do we kind of have a mix. So like this last couple of days ago, I did 5 times. What was it? Three on. I think it was 3 on, 3 off, zone five, just as high
Yep.
as I could go in zone five. But we'll also do like a 30-30 instead of a 1-1. So 30
Yep.
seconds on, 30 seconds off. We'll do
Yep.
15 or 20 of those. So effectively the same thing. And
Yep.
then I can always crank those higher. So we call it zone six, since technically there's not a zone six, because it's always above. Like I'm always hitting power above whatever zone five ends at.
Yep.
For 30 seconds, like you can
You
go
can,
pretty hard for 30 seconds.
yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. No, you crank that up and again, you're establishing that neural, like especially on that 15 to 30 second range.
Hmm.
you can do so much to bump that neural recruitment. I mean, like at that point, you're effectively doing weight room type work on
Right.
the bike,
Right.
you know.
Just pushing
And
max power.
absolutely. Absolutely. And and you can play around with that, and especially if you're tracking watts, you can you can do that so many different ways. I mean, you can do that at 70 RPMs or 95 RPMs or
Hmm.
130 RPMs, and you're training different components of the nervous system and like the range of motion and like rate, like the angular rates on the hip.
Hmm.
There's a bunch of cool research out there about like as you get into that last mile or two on the bike to just spin up some really tiny gears and just really turn fast
Hmm.
so that your cadence, like, so you can jump off the bike and hit that cadence like you want to on the run.